This is Are Venice. Today, I'm gonna show you guys this amazing interview that I had with Alan Sarlo, the legend from Venice, you know, and we had an amazing conversation. Alan is my friend. He's an amazing guy. Had to work so hard like to get where he is to nowadays, you know. Had to train a lot to become one of the best surfers the world ever seen. And I'm very happy like to show you guys his story and to have him in our show.
The thing about Sarlo, he's just a good guy. Just this nice guy, good friend. He's always got a smile on his face until he gets in the water. Then he just turns into this animal and all his demons come out.
Rides the barrel really well. I saw him actually get probably the best barrel of the winter out here at Sunset this year.
You know, it's funny, there aren't that many more mature surfers that are surfing high-performance boards at Sunset anymore. And Alan's one of those guys.
He's getting in the water more than the guys that live here on the North Shore. I know he gets in the water more than I do.
He's one of the very few guys that you can depend on to be out there at first light when the waves are good.
And I know for a fact he's the only of the LA guys that I know that comes over here and surfs, you know?
Our relationship has been, from then on, it's been like best friends for life, to the grave.
Growing up as a kid, watching Sarlo, he was always a major inspiration to me and all the fellow grommets, just with just being such a really cool, down-to-earth guy and just blowing the back out of every single wave that he takes off on.
Because he was always up at Malibu, where he became the king of Malibu for a long time, wave killer.
Growing up when I was a little kid, my dad was a lifeguard, Venice Beach, Santa Monica. We grew up underneath the lifeguard tower, my older brother and I, riding Pipo boards, riding these styrofoam boogie boards, rubber mats.
My dad used to lifeguard in that headquarters, and he also lifeguarded at the tower at the Venice Breakwater, and he was a cop. And I learned how to surf on this beach from 8, 9 years old.
I remember when I was a little kid, my older brother taking me down to Malibu, and everybody talked about was Mickey Dore, Jay Riddle, and Nat Young at Malibu. I mean, holy smokes. I go, oh, that's me. I got to be one of those guys.
Killer, man. You didn't get that name for nothing, you know? Alan basically was pretty intimidating when we were kids because we were little and he was basically looked like, you know, this guy that was like playing halfback for Venice High, and then all of a sudden he just had amazing ability as a surfer. So I'm just glad that I've known him, you know, since I was a kid, because it's always nice to have Alan around, a little bit of like, you know, backup.
But a lot of times Jay and Tony Alva and Jay, they'd get in the most mischiefy things. Like they would spit balls, that was the thing, you know. If he was a kook, like if he couldn't surf, you get a spitball. And spitball, and the guys are like, what is that? You know, they get hit with spitballs, and they'd come like, run behind me, and because I was bigger, I was a big kid. They'd like hide their straw, you know. And then they'd come and run and hide behind me. That's pretty fun. Surfing out here, and Jay would live like a half a block away. I used to go over to Jay's house. We used to come right out here and surf. The breakwater started to break, and it was like, wow, the breakwater, and we surfed the breakwater. And then in the wintertime, of course, with the north swells, we surfed the jetty. And that was, and the jetty was the training ground for the North Shore. If you wanted to surf the North Shore, you had to surf the jetty and you had to surf it good because it was steep takeoffs. You'd paddle your ass out, you had to take off under the hook, paddle, and you just free fall, whoop, and you'd be in the barrel. And Jay and me and Darrick Doerner, Matt Warshaw, he lived right down the street too, and we all surfed the jetty. And we'd go back to school at Mark Twain Junior High, and we would just be so stoked. We'd be like, we surfed the jetty, it was tubing. And then after school, we'd get on our bikes and we'd ride our bikes as fast as we can from Mark Twain Junior High right back down here. Of course, it was blown out. But a couple of days, it was Santa Ana winds. And we knew those Santa Ana, you know, when it rains and it blows offshore, we knew, man, we'd fucking, pardon my French, we'd ride so fast, carrying our surfboards, riding our bike, our Stingrays and our 10 speeds, boom, right down the breakwater and surf there. We were right here at the breakwater, right? And we could see waves at the end of POP, just these, we thought it was a mirage. We didn't know what we were seeing. We saw these waves at the end of the pier just breaking, and we were like freaking out. How do we get there? So we get on our Stingrays, and we'd ride so far. It seemed like, you know, 10 miles to POP, but it was only, you know, a mile and a half. But we were so little kids, we'd ride, and then we'd go down into the cove. And back then, the POP, you could just imagine. The pier was closed for years, and there were just all kinds of homeless people there, and drugs, and all kinds of crazy stuff going on under the pier. But you couldn't surf the cove because there was locals. There was hardcore locals there. They're gnarly, man. So I didn't know the locals knew my dad because my dad was a lifeguard and my mom did their taxes. I had no idea. So I'm like little kid, and I had like a pack of friends, Danny Sadler and the boys behind me. I go, let's go surf the cove. And Pracon was his name, Craig Pracon. You know, Pracon, he was like, get out of here, you know, right out from underneath the pilings. It's so scary when you're a little kid. Everybody get out of here, except for Alan. And I'm like, how do I get to surf? It's because my dad was a lifeguard and my mom did the guy's taxes. So I got to surf POP Pier as a young, like 13 years old.
It was like back then Venice families looked after each other, and we were protecting the waves. We had the beach, we had the sun, we had the boardwalk. We were protecting Venice.
I want to talk about the Satan slaves. I want you to tell us the story, please, like about the Satan slaves.
Well, the Satan slaves were a motorcycle gang, and they had choppers. There was like 40 of them, and they were a gang, and they're a chopper gang and motorcycle gang, and they went down the streets. And if they came down the streets, man, you went and you hid behind a trash can or behind a car. They would throw stuff at you. It's just a rough, hardcore, the core of all core motorcycle gang. But it was so cool because they were in Venice, and at first you're just so scared of them, petrified. But a couple of them surfed, and that was the greatest thing because then you could kind of, I was young, man. I was like 10, 11, 12 years old. and you could actually hang out with them or like stand close, you know. You couldn't hang out with them really, but you could stand like 10 feet away. You could be in their area and they would like look at you. You would be shaking in your boots. It was gnarly. They'd have the canal festivals and they'd have trash cans. And if a trash can was on fire in front, like Grand Canal, Sherman Canal, all the different canals, if there is a trash can's on fire, that means you do not go down there because they were partying. The Doors would be playing. There'd be naked chicks running up and down the canals, probably, you know, on drugs or whatever. It was wild, man. And my dad was a cop and a lifeguard, and he would go, Alan, don't go down there. And he like locked me in the house. And these canal festivals would last for days. They would go on for days and days. It was pretty freaking awesome. And we were all in Venice, and we grew up in Venice, and everybody kind of protected each other and looked out after each other. Yeah, was Craig Pracon, member of the Satan Slaves? I don't think so, but he knew people that were in the Satan Slaves. And just his last name, Pracon, man, was so scary when you're a kid, you know? And he was a scary dude. He had this long hair and a beard and fuzz on his face, and the guy could rip on a surfboard.
Oh, wow.
He was such a good surfer, and he made his own surfboards. And the crazy thing was he was good friends with Jeff Ho. And so it was the introduction at 12 years old to Jeff Ho and POP Pier. Those guys had it to themselves for years. There was also we had a club. It was called Mini Huni Kakai Surf Club. And it was Venice and Culver City and some Santa Monica and Bay Street, Santa Monica. And I was a young kid, and all the older guys, like Guy Okazaki. Guy was, before I surfed for Jeff Ho, I surfed for Guy. And Guy made me boards. He was so gracious and so kind. And we used to have parties on the peninsula, and the Lance Carson band would play. We'd have luau's in the back of Guy's house. We'd cook a pig, and I was like, man, Guy is so cool.
Hi, Guy. How are you, brother?
Good morning.
Good morning. So, how did you meet Alan Sarlo?
Boy, that's a good question. It was a long time ago. Alan was one of the kids on the beach. And I think I met him through, you know, the other kids and his parents. I knew his dad and his mom, and his dad actually asked me to take care of him, look after him, and coach him up and help him out with contest surfing.
It was amazing. One day, I don't know how this happened, but I was 15 years old. And I was, before I got on the Jeff Ho team, I was 15 years old, and I had the flu. And I had supposed to be in a contest in El Porto. And I had this terrible flu. And I told Guy that, I got the flu, I can't go, I don't feel very good. So, Guy called my dad. I don't know how, but it was because we had Sarlo tax service and everybody did their taxes at Sarlo tax service. But I had no idea, you know, it's just a kid. And they're talking like, how sick is he? Well, I think if he went surfing, it would be good for him. And so Guy was knock, knock, knock. He was at my door. And I was like, what are you doing? He goes, we're going to the contest. And I go, I've got the flu. And he goes, but your dad said it was okay. And I go, how did you talk to my dad? He goes, oh, I have his phone number. I was like, how's that possible? You know what I mean? So Guy took me to the contest. Who knew, man? I paddled out, I felt great. And I ended up winning the contest, and I was like, yeah, how cool is that, you know?
Venice Surfing Association.
Oh my God, Venice Surfing Association, shaka.
Okazaki, the president.
Guy Okazaki, he helped me when I was a kid. He's still going, man. He's such a gift. You know, they're getting the generations feeding the love of surfing, you know, the love of performance surfing, and the community of Venice coming together, which is so cool. He's such a gentle man, so much wisdom, and so kind. And he plays himself down like, oh, you know. And you're like, and he's so cool. He's like, yeah. Jay and I, and Darrick Doerner, and Matt Warshaw, and Stacy Peralta, and Nathan, of course, Jeff Ho, and Skipper, and Craig Stesick. You know, we started the skateboard with clay wheels. We just took the skateboard, the roller derby, and we took the wheels off your roller skates, and we mounted them on skateboards we made at Venice High. And then Skipper and Jeff and Jay's dad, Kent. There's more Skipper and Jeff. They kind of like, okay, we're gonna make these skateboards. And then Jeff made the Z-Flex board, and then that's where it all took off.
The Dogtown documentary was really accurate, brought back a lot of memories, hanging out with Jay Adams, Tony Alva, Nathan Pratt. Those were the Z days.
Originally, it was the Zephyr Surf Team.
But Jeff Ho saw the future in skateboarding and created the Jeff Ho Zephyr skateboard team. So we were recruiting like our friends, and Stacy, we went to school, Venice High School with Stacy. He was such a good skateboarder with his blonde hair doing 360s. And we asked Stacy to join the skateboard team. And then Tony Alva from Brentwood, Santa Monica came down.
And Tony was a really good skateboarder. And so Tony became on the state team.
And then we had the Z-Flex boards, and we were skating. We skated everywhere. I mean, if you weren't on your surfboard, you were on your skateboard.
That's the way like that you guys found like how to surf every day. When there was no waves, you guys just skating around.
Oh yeah, the surf blew out at 10 o'clock, so we were skating. We had meetings every day at the Jeff Ho shop at 3 o'clock. We had meetings, and basically we'd go down Bickney Hill and we'd skate down Bickney Hill. It was so much fun. But a lot of times I would be excused because I was at Venice High. I played football at Venice High School. And so I couldn't, during football season, I couldn't be at the skateboard. I was like, I can't be there, man. And they go, it's all right, Alan. You're all right. I wanted to be at the skateboard practice, but I had football practice. Anyways, it was so much fun. Yeah, it was like from the jetty to the breakwater to POP. In the 70s, the waves were like really good. We had a couple good winners. It was the same winter in 1975, 74, that the North Shore was really good. Free ride, you know, the whole North Shore was going off. And I think it was the same beautiful conditions that hit Venice and the Cove and POP. At 17 years old, I was a very competitive surfer. I won the West Coast Junior Championship and the Malibu 4A contest the same year at 17 years old, which projected me to surf on the pro level in the Smirnoff Pro and other surf contests. You know, I was young. I did pretty good, but I was just so stoked to surf with Rabbit and Sean Thompson and Dane K. Loha, Peter Townsend. And they took me in as, you know, they're like, oh yeah, man, come hang out with us, PT and Sean. Such good people.
He's known for power turning, you know? He's one of the first guys I ever saw do a full-on grab rail, just like, you know, sink in the whole other rail and just do like a really incredible turn, like a power turn, you know? And to us, that's really important because like Jay and a lot of the little guys were doing this Bertelsmann style of surfing, but I think that Alan has his own style, even though it was maybe influenced by Larry Bertelsmann. You'd have to ask him that. But I think that, you know, when you see Alan even do a bottom turn or from a distance, his style is so significant that I can recognize it immediately. But then again, I grew up with Alan Sarlo. You know, he's probably one of the most influential surfers from out of the Ocean Park, Dogtown, Santa Monica area, in, not only from the 70s, but also today, we're in the 21st century. You know what I mean? That's what I think.
Of the silver medal, Alan Sarlo, Team USA.
Ganador de la medalla de plata, Alan Sarlo del equipo de Estados Unidos.
And winner of the gold medal, Javier Huacaya, Team Peru.
Y ganador de la medalla de oro, Javier Huacaya del equipo de Perú.
Thank you so much everyone for watching our channel, you know. I really appreciate all the subscribers. I appreciate the sponsor, the Venice brand. Thank you so much. The only way you guys can help us now is subscribing the channel, sharing the channel, like button, leave a comment, you know. If you guys do that, you guys gonna bring the show to the next level. It's gonna help us to keep making more videos for you guys. If you guys like it, that's all you guys need to do. Share the channel, comment, like, subscribe. Yeehaw! Yeehaw!